I smiled as I adjusted the small gift box inside my jacket. Tonight was our anniversary, and I truly believed my future with Emily was finally beginning. After months of working late, saving every dollar, and secretly building my software, I wanted to share everything with her. Emily looked across the restaurant table and asked, "You've been distracted lately. What's going on?" I grinned. "I've been working on something important." "What kind of something?" "My own technology company." She raised an eyebrow. "You're serious?" "I am. The software is almost ready. If it succeeds, it could change our lives." Emily sighed. "Ethan, dreams don't pay bills." "They will one day," I replied. "Just trust me." She folded her arms. "Trust doesn't buy a house. I know it's risky, but I believe in it." She stared at me without smiling. "You always believe. Reality is different." Her words hurt, but I forced a smile. "I'll prove it," I whispered. She looked away, and my excitement slowly turned into quiet fear. Emily picked up her glass and looked at me with tired eyes. "Ethan, how many years have I listened to these big plans?" I swallowed. "This one is different." "You always say that." "Because I never stopped trying." She leaned forward. "Trying isn't the same as succeeding." I felt my chest tighten. "Don't you believe in me anymore?" She stayed silent for a moment before answering. "I believe you're a good man. I just don't believe you'll ever become the man I need." "What does that mean?" "It means I want security, success, and a future I can actually see." "I can give you that." "When?" "Soon." She slowly shook her head. "I've waited long enough." I stared at her, unable to understand what was happening. Then she quietly said, "I've been spending time with someone else." My heart stopped. "What did you say?" "His name is Daniel Brooks." "The CEO?" She nodded. "He already has the life I've always wanted." The restaurant suddenly felt silent. Even the music seemed to disappear as I struggled to breathe, wondering whether everything I loved had already slipped away forever. I stared at Emily, hoping she would smile and tell me it was only a cruel joke. She never did. "You can't be serious," I whispered. "I am." "Did you fall in love with him?" She looked down before answering. "I don't know, but I know he offers the future I want." "What about us?" "Ethan, we've been together for 4 years. I remember every day, and we're still talking about dreams instead of reality." I clenched my fist beneath the table. "So money matters more than love?" She sighed. "It's not only money. It's stability, confidence, and success. I've been working for that. But Daniel already has it." Her words cut deeper than any knife. "So you've already chosen him?" "Yes." I felt my throat tighten. "I wanted to build that future with you. You'll understand someday." "No," I said quietly. "I don't think I ever will." She stood, picked up her handbag, and looked at me one last time. "I am sorry, Ethan." Without another word, she turned around and slowly walked toward the restaurant exit, leaving me sitting alone with my broken heart. I couldn't move. My eyes stayed on the restaurant door long after Emily disappeared. The empty chair across from me hurt more than any words she had spoken. The waiter walked over carefully. "Sir, are you all right?" I forced a weak smile. "I'll be fine." He quietly placed the bill on the table and walked away. I looked at the small gift box still resting beside my plate. I had planned to give it to Emily after dinner. Now it felt completely meaningless. My phone suddenly rang. "Mia, Jan answered softly." "Happy anniversary," my sister said cheerfully. "How did it go?" I closed my eyes. "Ethan." She left. Silence filled the call. "What happened?" She said I wasn't good enough. Mia's voice immediately softened. "Don't believe those words." "I love her, Mia." "I know. I thought she believed in me." "I believe in you," she replied firmly. "Mom would too." Tears finally rolled down my face. "I don't know how to start over." "You don't have to know tonight," Mia whispered. "Just come home. We'll face tomorrow together." I arrived home just after midnight. Mia opened the door before I could knock. She hugged me without saying a word, and for the first time that night, I felt I wasn't completely alone. A few minutes later, Noah arrived carrying 2 cups of coffee. "I came as soon as Mia called," he said. I managed a weak smile. "Thanks." He sat across from me. "Tell me everything." After I finished, Noah looked straight into my eyes. "Ethan, listen carefully. Emily didn't decide your value. She only revealed hers. I still feel like I failed. You didn't fail, he replied. You were brave enough to chase a dream. Mia nodded. One day she'll see what she lost. I looked toward my laptop, sitting quietly on the desk. My software is almost finished, I said. Then finish it, Noah answered with confidence. I took a deep breath and slowly stood. I'm done chasing someone who couldn't see my worth. Noah smiled. So what's next? I looked at my computer and smiled for the first time that night. My future starts now. The apartment felt quieter after Emily left my life. Every corner reminded me of promises that no longer existed. I opened my laptop, stared at my unfinished AI platform, and whispered, "You're all I have now." Noah walked in carrying 2 cheeseburgers. "You skipped dinner again," he said. "I'm not hungry. You have to eat if you want to build a company." I smiled weakly. "You're becoming my older brother." He laughed. "Someone has to." We sat beside the computer while lines of code filled the screen. "Do you ever think she was right?" I asked. "No." "You answered too fast." "Because I know you." "What if this project fails?" "Then we'll build another." "What if nobody believes in us?" "I already do." His words stayed with me. I looked back at the software. "I am scared." "So am I," Noah admitted. "But fear doesn't get the final vote." I nodded slowly. "Then let's keep working." We spent the entire night writing code, fixing errors, and chasing a future nobody else could see except the 2 of us. 3 weeks later, our savings were almost gone. The office rent was overdue, and one of our computers suddenly stopped working. Noah sighed. "That's the last machine." I rubbed my forehead. "Can we fix it?" "Not without money." I opened another investor email and forced myself to read it. "Rejected again?" Noah asked. I nodded. "They said our idea has no market." He laughed bitterly. "At least they're becoming creative." I couldn't laugh. What if they're right? They're judging a dream they don't understand. I leaned back in my chair. I keep hearing Emily's voice. What does she say? Dreams don't pay bills. Noah looked directly at me. Then prove her wrong. I want, so stop arguing with your past. His words hit harder than any rejection letter. I closed the email and opened my AI program instead. We keep building, I said. Exactly. Outside, heavy rain covered the windows, but inside our tiny office, hope refused to disappear. For the first time in weeks, I smiled without pretending, believing tomorrow might finally bring one unexpected opportunity. I kept refining every feature until my eyes burned. Days blended into nights, but I refused to quit. One morning, Noah rushed inside, holding his phone. "Ethan, there's a startup conference this weekend. I can't afford the ticket. I already found us discounted passes." "You spent your money?" He shrugged. "I invested in my partner." I smiled. "Thank you." The conference hall was filled with confident founders, wealthy investors, and giant technology displays. My confidence almost disappeared. Noah nudged my shoulder. "Go show them what you built." I stepped onto the stage and took a deep breath. "My name is Ethan Carter, and this AI platform helps small businesses automate customer support without expensive systems," I said. Some people looked interested, while others checked their phones. Even then, I refused to stop. I answered every question honestly and demonstrated every feature with confidence I didn't know I still had. When the presentation ended, polite applause echoed through the room. I stepped down wondering whether anyone had truly believed in me or whether this was simply another beautiful disappointment waiting ahead. I stepped away from the stage and quietly packed my laptop into my worn backpack. "Good presentation," Noah said. "You stayed calm. I don't think anyone cared." "Don't decide that yet." Before we reached the exit, a confident woman approached us with a thoughtful smile. "Mr. Carter?" she asked. "Yes. I'm Grace Monroe." I recognized her name immediately. "The investor?" She nodded. "May we talk?" My heartbeat quickened. "Of course." She looked directly at me. "I've listened to hundreds of startup pitches. I'm sure mine wasn't the best." She smiled gently. "I disagree." I blinked in surprise. "You didn't promise impossible miracles," she continued. "You solved a real problem. I've worked on it every day." "I can tell." Noah folded his arms proudly. "So, what happens now?" I asked. Grace answered without hesitation. "I want another meeting." "To discuss funding?" "Not yet. My excitement faded slightly. Then why? Because I invest in people before companies, and I believe your vision deserves a real chance. For the first time, someone saw my future before my success. The first time, someone believed in me without asking what I owned. Grace's words stayed with me all the way home. Noah grinned. I told you someone would notice. I laughed softly. You were right. He pointed at my laptop. Now, keep improving it. I will. The following week, I met Grace again inside her office. She reviewed every detail of my business plan, asked difficult questions, and challenged every assumption. Finally, she smiled. You don't need pity. You need patience. I can do that, I replied. Good. Build this the right way. Don't chase quick success. Create something people truly need. I nodded, feeling stronger than I had in months. For the first time since Emily left, I stopped asking why I wasn't enough. Instead, I asked, what can I become? Grace smiled again. Someone who never needs another person's approval to know his worth. I left her office carrying more than notes and advice. I carried hope, purpose, quiet confidence, and the determination to build the future I had finally chosen for myself alone from that day forward. 2 years changed everything. I stood inside my new headquarters, looking through the glass wall at hundreds of employees beginning another busy morning. Sometimes I still remember the tiny office where Noah and I shared one broken computer. Noah walked in my office carrying a tablet. Good morning, CEO. I laughed. You still enjoy saying that. Because you earned it. I couldn't have done it without you. He smiled. We did it together. A few minutes later, Grace entered with another guest. Ethan, she said, I'd like you to meet Chairman Richard Hayes. I stood immediately and shook his hand. It's an honor, sir. Richard smiled warmly. The honor is mine. Grace has told me a great deal about you. I hope only the good parts. He laughed. She told me you never quit. Grace nodded. That's why I brought Richard here. I looked between them. What does this meeting mean? Richard placed a folder on my desk. It means I'm ready to invest in your future and help your company grow beyond anything you imagined. I opened the folder slowly, unable to believe what I was seeing. This investment is bigger than anything we expected, I said. Richard nodded. Because your vision is bigger than a normal startup. I looked at Grace. You believed in me when nobody else did. She smiled. I only recognized what was already there. That day changed the direction of my company. With Richard's support, we expanded our technology, hired talented people, and entered international markets. Months later, Noah walked into my office wearing a confident suit. Are you ready for your new partner? I smiled. Partner? He handed me his appointment letter. Cool. I laughed. You deserve it. No, we deserve it. Soon after, Olivia Reed joined our company as HR director. During our first meeting, she asked me a simple question. What kind of workplace do you want to create? I thought about Emily's words from years ago. I want people here to feel valued. Why? Because I know what it feels like when someone makes you believe you're not enough. Olivia nodded. Then we'll build something different. Building the company was harder than becoming successful. Every decision carried pressure, and every mistake affected hundreds of people. One afternoon, Olivia walked into my office. Ethan, the employees are saying something different about this company. What do you mean? They feel respected. I smiled. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. Noah entered with a report. International expansion numbers look better than expected. I looked at the growing charts on the screen. We're really doing this. He nodded. Yes, but don't forget where we started. I never will. Later that evening, I heard two executives discussing rumors outside the conference room. Did you hear about Daniel Brooks? What happened? His company is losing millions after risky investments. For a moment, my heart became heavy. Daniel was the man Emily chose instead of me. No one noticed my expression. You okay? I nodded. Yes. You don't want revenge? I looked at the city outside. Years ago I did. And now? Now I just want to build my future. Noah smiled. That's how I know you've changed. I walked away, leaving the past behind me. As my company expanded, I traveled more often and spent less time thinking about the past. My focus was on innovation, employees, and creating something meaningful. During a late-night meeting, Grace noticed I was tired. You work too much, she said. I smiled. You're the person who taught me patience. Patience doesn't mean destroying yourself. I laughed. I'll remember that. She looked at the international growth reports. You should be proud. I am. But I know success can disappear if I become careless. That's why you'll keep succeeding. Meanwhile, I continued hearing small pieces of news about Daniel's struggles. His luxury lifestyle was fading, and the company he built was losing trust. Noah asked me one morning, "Do you ever wonder what Emily thinks now?" I paused. Sometimes. And I hope she finds happiness. He looked surprised. After everything, I nodded. I don't want anyone to suffer. I just don't want to return to who I was. Noah smiled. That might be the biggest victory of all. I looked at my company logo shining on the building wall and realized I had finally become someone I respected. 2 years earlier, I thought losing Emily meant losing my future. Now I understood that losing her forced me to discover myself. One evening, I stood in my office reviewing plans for our next international branch. Noah walked in. Still working? I smiled. Just preparing for tomorrow. You know, the old Ethan wouldn't believe this. I looked at him. What do you mean? The man who sat in that tiny apartment thinking he wasn't enough. I became quiet. I remember him. And what would you tell him now? I looked around the office. I would tell him that someone's opinion doesn't decide his worth. Noah nodded proudly. That's the answer I wanted. I returned to my work with a peaceful mind. I no longer cared about proving Emily wrong. I no longer needed Daniel to fail for me to feel successful. My goal was bigger than revenge. I wanted to create a company where people believed in themselves. And somewhere far away, without me knowing, Emily's perfect life with Daniel was beginning to fall apart. But my journey was finally moving forward. The morning started like any normal workday. I sat behind my desk reviewing international reports when Olivia entered with a folder in her hands. Ethan, I need your final approval on these executive applications. I looked up. Any strong candidates? Several. Some have impressive experience. She placed the folder on my desk, and I began reading through the resumes one by one. Most names meant nothing to me. Then I saw one name that made my entire body freeze. Emily Dawson. For several seconds, I couldn't breathe. Olivia noticed my expression. Ethan, are you all right? I quickly closed the file halfway. Yes, I just wasn't expecting this. She looked confused. Do you know her? I stared at the name again. Yes. Ow. I leaned back slowly. She was someone from my past. Olivia remained silent, waiting. I looked at the application details. Her previous company had collapsed. She was searching for a new opportunity. And somehow, she had applied to my company without knowing I was the founder and CEO. I kept staring at Emily's resume, feeling emotions I thought I had already buried. Anger, pain, memories. I remember the night she walked away from me and chose Daniel instead. Olivia quietly asked, "Do you want me to remove her application?" Before I could answer, the office door opened. Noah walked inside. Everything okay? I looked at him. Emily applied here. His expression changed immediately. Emily Dawson? I nodded. Noah picked up the file and looked through it. After everything she did, she want a job in your company? I don't know. You could reject her right now. I stayed silent. Part of me wanted to say yes. Part of me wanted her to feel the pain I felt. But then I remembered the company I built. I remembered the values I promised myself. No. Noah looked surprised. No. I won't reject her because of our past. Ethan, she hurt you. I know. Then why give her a chance? I looked at the resume. Because I don't want to become the person who hurt me. Noah slowly nodded, understanding my choice. I closed Emily's application and placed it back on my desk. Olivia looked at me carefully. So what happens now? I took a deep breath. She goes through the same process as everyone else. No special treatment. No. No rejection. No. Olivia nodded. That's fair. After she left, Noah stayed behind. You really think you can handle seeing her again? I looked out the window at the city below. I don't know. Are you still angry? I thought about his question. Maybe a little. Then why not protect yourself? Because protecting myself doesn't mean punishing someone else. Noah smiled slightly. You're different now. I had to become different. Because of Emily? I shook my head. Because of me. The words felt strange, but powerful. Years ago, I needed Emily to believe in me. Now, I only needed to believe in myself. I returned to my work, but a strange feeling remained inside me. It felt like life was opening a door I thought was permanently closed. And somehow, I knew my past was about to walk back into my present. The next few days passed normally, but Emily's application stayed in the back of my mind. I focused on meetings, company growth, and new projects, but every time my phone received an interview update, my thoughts returned to her. One evening, Grace noticed my distraction. "You seem somewhere else today." I smiled slightly. Someone from my past appeared again. "Emily." I looked at her in surprise. "How did you know?" "Because some wounds are easy to recognize." I stayed quiet. "Are you afraid?" Grace asked. "Maybe." "Of seeing her?" "No. Of remembering who I was when she left." Grace leaned forward. "Ethan, that person no longer exists." "I know." "Then don't let an old chapter control your next one." Her words helped me. I realized I wasn't the same man who sat alone after Emily walked away. I wasn't the man begging someone to choose him. I was the man who built something from nothing. Still, a small question remained in my heart. Why had fate brought Emily back into my life now, after everything had changed? The interview schedule arrived on Monday morning. I looked at the notification on my screen. Emily Dawson, Executive Management Interview. For a moment, everything became quiet. "No, enter my office. Tomorrow is the day." I nodded. "Yes. Are you ready?" I looked at him. "I don't know. That's honest. I spent years trying to forget her. Now, she's coming into my world again." Noah sat across from me. "But this time, you're not the same person." I smiled faintly. "You're right. Remember why you built this company." I looked around my office. "To create something meaningful." "Exactly." I closed the interview file. Tomorrow, she won't meet the man she left behind. Who will she meet? I looked at my reflection in the glass window. The person I became. That night, I prepared for the interview like any other business decision. No anger, no revenge, no desire to prove anything. But deep inside, I knew one thing. When Emily walked through those doors, both of our lives would change forever. The interview room was ready before sunrise. I sat at the head of the executive table, reviewing Emily's application one final time. Olivia entered with her tablet. "Are you sure you want to be part of this interview?" I looked at her. "Yes. Because this could be difficult." "I know." She nodded. "Then we'll keep it professional." A few minutes later, the conference room door opened. Emily walked inside confidently, holding her portfolio. She looked prepared, calm, and unaware of what waited for her. "Good morning," she said. Then her eyes moved toward the head of the table. She stopped. The confidence disappeared from her face instantly. "Ethan." Her voice was barely a whisper. I looked at her calmly. "Good morning, Emily." She stared at me as if she was trying to understand reality. "You." I remained silent. Olivia gestured toward the chair. "Please have a seat. We'll begin the interview." Emily slowly sat down, but her hands were shaking. The woman who once walked away from me now struggled to find her words. Olivia opened the interview with a professional smile. "Emily, let's begin with your management experience." Emily looked at her resume. "I have worked with teams, handled projects, and managed operations for several years." Her voice was quieter than before. Olivia asked another question. "How do you handle pressure during difficult situations?" Emily paused. I tried to stay focused and find solutions. I watched her carefully, not with anger, but with understanding. She was no longer the confident woman who told me I would never be enough. She looked uncertain. Olivia continued. "Why do you want to join our company?" Emily glanced at me for a second before answering. "Because I believe this company represents innovation and growth." I asked calmly, "What makes you believe you are the right person for this role?" She looked down. "Because I have learned from my mistakes." The room became quiet. Olivia continued taking notes while I listened. For the first time, I saw Emily without the pride that once separated us. I saw someone who was facing the consequences of her choices. The interview continued for another 30 minutes. I asked questions about leadership, teamwork, and decision-making. Emily answered carefully. "I know I made mistakes in my career." I looked at her. "Everyone makes mistakes." She swallowed. "But some mistakes change everything." I understood what she meant, but I kept my expression professional. Olivia asked the final question. Why should we trust you with this responsibility? Emily took a deep breath. Because I understand the value of opportunities now. Her words carried a meaning beyond the interview. When a meeting ended, Olivia closed her tablet. Thank you for your time, Emily. We'll contact you soon. Emily stood slowly. Can I speak with Ethan for a moment? Olivia looked at me. I nodded. After she left, silence filled the room. Emily looked around the office. I never knew. Knew what? That you became this. I remained calm. Life changed. She looked down. I didn't think you would ever reach this level. I answered quietly. Neither did many people. Her eyes filled with regret. Emily stepped closer to the table, but she stopped before reaching me. Ethan, I need to say something. I waited. I am sorry. The words were simple, but they carried years of pain. For what? For everything I said. Everything I did. I stayed quiet. I was wrong about you. I looked at her. Emily, the past cannot be changed. I know. Then why apologize now? She lowered her eyes. Because I finally understand what I lost. For a moment, I remember the person I was that night at the restaurant. Broken. Confused. Begging someone to believe in me. But that person was gone. Emily whispered, I never imagined you would become the CEO of a company like this. I answered calmly. I never built this to prove anything to you. She looked surprised. Then why? Because I wanted to build something I believed in. She nodded slowly. I guess I never understood you. I didn't respond. Some answers did not need to be spoken anymore. The silence between us said everything we both already knew. Emily picked up her portfolio and moved toward the door. Before leaving, she turned back. Ethan, are you angry at me? I thought about the question. No. She looked surprised. After everything, I nodded. Anger kept me connected to the past. I don't want that anymore. Her eyes became emotional. I hope you know I never wanted to hurt you. I believe you. Then why does this still feel painful? Because some choices have consequences. She looked down and accepted my answer. I opened the door for her. Emily, tomorrow's decision will be based on your qualifications, not our history. She nodded. You're really different now. I smiled slightly. I had to be. After she left, I returned to my desk and looked through the glass window at the city below. Years ago, I wanted this moment because I wanted her to regret leaving me. But now that I had everything I once dreamed about, I felt no satisfaction from her pain. I finally had the power I begged for, but I no longer needed to use it.